When I moved into my new house, I had a vision, and that vision was to create my dream garage. Right now, the garage is a total mess. The floor is cracked and uneven, the wall is hideous, and there's just a whole lot of junk laying in the garage. But we're gonna fix that today. And we're gonna do that by creating our own epoxy floor for the garage. Now, I did reach out to a contractor for an estimate of how much this would cost, and they quoted me $7,000 Canadian to finish the garage floors. I saw that and I thought, that's horrendous, because I can do that myself for a fraction of that cost. So I'm going to show you how I did my garage install, which only cost me about $1,500, a fraction of what I would have paid if I got someone else to do it. Let's take a look at how it's done. The first thing I did was grind off all of the sticky residue on the garage floor, and then I went ahead and cut out all of the cracks and deepened it using a concrete cutoff wheel. This is important because when you're filling in the cracks, you want to make sure the cracks are deep enough so that the concrete can actually go in and adhere and create a strong bond in between the cracks. What I'm doing now is I'm creating a drip edge for the garage door. This is just a line that I'm going to cut into the concrete right at the seam of the garage door, which is just going to separate the inside of the garage from the outside of the garage. This is going to prevent any epoxy from running out of the garage when we're installing it. And it's also going to help if there's any rain that may try to seep in through the garage door as well. Alright guys, so it is day 2 of the epoxy floor garage install. The cracks have been filled up here. What we're going to do now is we're going to grind down the floors. I don't have a concrete grinder, but I do have an angle grinder. I'm going to see if I'll be able to just grind down this entire floor with just the angle grinder. It may not work. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to go to Home Depot and rent out one of those concrete grinder machines. We're going to try it out and see if the angle grinder is going to do the job. Alright guys, so safety is #1 priority, so make sure you guys have your safety glasses as well as a dust mask. There's going to be a lot of dust here, especially when we're going to be grinding down the concrete floors. So make sure you have a really good dust mask that's going to filter out all of the dust so you're not breathing it in. What's really also going to help is making sure you have a dust shroud on your angle grinder. Something like this. This is something I picked up on Amazon. I think it was less than $100, but this goes right on your angle grinder, and you can hook it up to like a shop vac or something, so that way while you're grinding, all of the dust will just get sucked in from the shop vac. Alright guys, so this dust shroud is not working out the best for me. It doesn't really sit flush, like one side is higher, so it's getting pretty hard to grind, and it keeps coming off while I'm grinding. I don't know if that's just because this is not the best dust shroud, or I don't know, but so far we have grinded down about a quarter of the floor. I really wish I would have just went and rented the concrete grinder, but we already started doing it this way, so let's try and finish it. Instead of using the dust shroud, what I found worked better was actually just grinding over wet concrete. So I just sprayed some water down on the floor, and then I just used the angle grinder and ground down the concrete until it was smooth. So much less dust when you do it that way. So if you guys are in a similar situation, I definitely recommend using water and doing a wet sand rather than using one of these dust shrouds. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. If you guys are doing this at home, I definitely rent a concrete grinder. I think I've done about maybe half of the garage now. There's still a lot more to do. This is not gonna be fun. It is the next day and we're gonna go to Home Depot. We're gonna go rent the concrete grinder. It's just gonna take way too long with the angle grinder. So let's save ourselves the headache and let's go pick up this concrete grinder and see if we can bang it out in a couple hours. Alright guys, so we have grinded down the entire floor. Took me all night, but I think it was worth it. The grinder was definitely worth the investment. If you guys are doing this at home, I would definitely go out and rent a grinder. I would have taken me 10 times longer if I didn't have the grinder. After we have grinded down the floor, what I noticed was there's still some small cracks and divots that need to be filled up. Now, depending on how big these holes are, you could just leave this and put down your first base coat of epoxy and it should fill in a lot of those craters. These craters here are actually a little bit bigger than what I'd like them to be. So what I've got here is I've got a 2-part epoxy crack filler. You're just going to take 2 parts of A and mix it in with 1 part of the B compound, and you want to just spread that down and make sure it's really thin. Scrape it down so that it's going to be level with the floor. That way, once it's dried, it'll fill up all of those bigger divots. The smaller cracks you can kind of get away with when you roll down your epoxy base coat. It should cover up most of those tinier micro divots. But for these bigger craters like this one right here and over there, you definitely want to get some crack filler and fill in those cracks before you put down your base coat. So now that you've put 2 parts of your A compound and 1 part of your B compound, you want to just go ahead and give it a thorough mix and mix until everything is blended. And just when you think you've mixed it enough, you want to go ahead and mix it for another 30 seconds. You really want to make sure this stuff is mixed properly so it chemically cures and creates a really strong bond when it cures on the floor. Alright guys, so it is the next day. We have patched up all of the tiny holes that were here in the garage. As you can see, the resin has hardened and it's left a really smooth finish. So now we're ready to go ahead and do our first coat of epoxy. Alright guys, so the first coat is done. Now it doesn't look perfect, but don't worry, this is just the first of 3 different coats that we're gonna do. So far looks so pretty good. Let's check back in tomorrow when this dries and see what it's gonna look like. Alright, welcome back guys. It is the next day. The epoxy has completely cured, and it is okay for us to walk on. Pretty good so far. I am gonna go back and kind of fill some of those cracks that I missed before we put our second coat on. And you'll also see some bubbles here that we're gonna have to sand down as well. That's normal. We'll just go ahead and give it a light sand. That way when we put our second coat over, it'll fill those in. Alright, so the second coat of epoxy is done guys. So we're gonna go ahead and do the third coat of epoxy now. It is the middle of the night right now, but we're gonna go ahead and do our best to get this done, because I really need to get this done today guys. Alright, it's been a couple days now, and the floor is, dry enough to walk on. I think this looks incredible. The floor turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. Get that really nice glossy finish here. This is going to be a great start to the garage project. I think the next step now is repainting the walls, just because you can really tell once you put that white floor down how bad the walls really are. Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing the baseboards for the garage. What I've got is this nice vinyl gray baseboard that we're going to put all along the garage. I think it's going to look really nice with the gray accents that we have going on the floors. All we've got is some base bond. All we're going to have to do is just put it on the back of the baseboard, roll it onto the wall, and we should be good to go. Alright, let's get into it. Thank you for watching this video. This garage floor turned out amazing and I'm super happy with the results. Stay tuned for my next video where I'm going to bring all of the stuff back into the garage and we're going to create our dream garage. Thank you and I'll see you guys in the next video.